Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, welcome to my channel, welcome to my space. I'm so happy that you're here with us today. Today, I would actually love to take the time to talk about my community college journey because I know there's so many people out there who are maybe in high school right now considering like going to university, but they're not really sure because maybe they don't have any idea what they want to do yet. But then there are all these like ideas around community college, that community college, at least what I heard, was like for people who didn't have good grades or like weren't as successful in school and all that stuff. And that's very far from the truth. Like, community college is actually a great place where you can actually learn so much about yourself. And so I thought today I would take the time to share my community college journey because I have been there for about 5 years. I did take a few breaks in between, which is why it comes out to about 5 years in total. And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people kind of look down on people who have been there for a while. They're like, "What? Like you're still in community college?" And it's like, yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. And so today, I'm going to tell you about my community college journey. So let's start with the basic. When I started community college, before I actually started community college, I had graduated high school a semester early. And during that time, I decided I don't want to go to school. I'm done with school. So I took a year off. And after that, I kind of realized, like, yeah, I'm not really doing anything like really worthwhile. I'm not really sure what to do. Maybe I should go and, maybe I'll figure out what I want to do with my life. And so I started community college, and the first thing I started doing was just general ed classes because it kept me active and productive. And, I got to meet new people, I got to socialize, and I was getting those like boring general ed classes out of the way. So if one day I do figure out what I wanted to major in, then I wouldn't have to worry about those classes and I can just focus on the major core classes. So I started doing my general ed classes, and I think like after a year of being in community college, during that time, I had learned that they were doing a study abroad to Italy. And when I was around like 16 or 17, I just developed this desire of wanting to travel there. And it kind of felt like it was meant to be, like the universe was sending me a sign. So I signed up for that and I ended up going to Italy. And although Italy itself was such a beautiful country, beautiful place to visit, I didn't really have the greatest experience because I wasn't really able to connect with the group I went with. However, it was such a great experience because I did learn so much more about myself and just like what I'm interested in. Because when I was younger, 11 or 12, I had actually wanted to like learn French. Like I had an interest in languages, but I never actually pursued it because I didn't really know where to start. And after that trip, the first thing I did was sign up for language classes. So I signed up for Italian and French. And when I started, it was so much fun. And I ended up leaning more towards French because I don't know, like I just ended up enjoying it more. But at some point, I really do want to learn Italian because I think it's a great language to learn as well, especially because I do love Italy. It's such a beautiful country. And I know being there really was like the source of inspiration for me to start. And so, I started the language journey thing because I was also inspired by the people I met over there who spoke more than like one or two languages. Like some people speak as much as 4 or 5 languages. And I was like, whoa, like that's so cool because I learned so many European countries in general actually encourage their students to learn languages. And I thought that was really cool. Like America should really do that more, like should do more of that. And so I started pursuing that, and I ended up doing 2 semesters of French and 1 semester of Italian. But then after that, I kind of stopped like doing those classes because I started focusing again on my general ed classes. And then I started kind of doing some music classes because music has always been like a huge part of my life. And actually before I started community college, when people would ask me like, "Hey, so what do you want to like major in when you go to school?" And I'm like, "Oh, I want to study music." And they're like, "Yeah, you shouldn't do that. It's not safe. You should do the safe thing, be a nurse or a lawyer." And I'm just like, "But I don't want to be a nurse or a lawyer." Like if you heard the toilet flush, that was like my exact reaction. Um, and I got to a point where when people would actually ask me like, "What do you want to do when you go to university or college?" And I'm like, I would just start saying, "I don't know." because I hated having to hear people tell me like, hey, like you should do this. That's like, like, no, you should like just stay out of stay out of this because it's my choice, Of course I never said that, but that's what I felt. But I ended up just saying, I don't know, every time people would ask me that. And I think that's the mindset I actually went in with, like when I started community college, just not knowing what to do. And so after that, I just started trying out some of the music classes. And, it was fun. Like I had like a guitar class, and I started taking a music history class. And funnily enough, it was like with the instructor I ended up having for like 2 semesters of like music history. Because of him, I actually ended up auditioning for like the music program of the school, and I didn't know I was auditioning. He kind of put me on the spot to, you know, perform something for like one of the instructors in charge of like the instrument that I mainly focus on. And so like I did my performance, didn't think anything of it. And as I'm driving home, I'm like at a red stoplight, and I just hear my phone vibrate, and there's like this message that says, "Congratulations, you passed your audition, you're now in the music program." And I'm like, so I ended up, getting into that. I didn't even know that there was like a music program at school. And, I started doing that, and it was super fun. But I was still uncertain about what I wanted to do. So during that time, I also was very into fitness, and I learned that there was like a fitness program offered at my school. So I decided, hey, you know what? I've kind of been in school for a while. By this time, I think it was like my third year, I think, in community college. And I was like, you know what? I should just do the certification, because then I can just like go to work and, do fitness, and I'll earn like pretty good money doing that. So I signed up for the classes, and I ended up dreading them. I didn't really enjoy them. Like fitness as a hobby is fun, but actually pursuing it as a career, it really wasn't my thing. And I found myself feeling really depressed and not really wanting to go to class. But it was so great that I went through that, because it made me realize what it was that I really did want to do. So after that semester of doing those classes, I ended up signing up for some of the music classes that you need to take as a music major. And that was when I started to experience the joy and the bliss and the happiness. And I realized like, wow, like, hey, this is it. This is what I want to do. And I did that, and this was like now 2019 fall semester. And I just enjoyed every second of it. But then some stuff happened. It's something personal that I'm not really ready to discuss, because it was definitely like something traumatizing that happened during the year 2020, when the whole, COVID thing started. Like I went through some stuff that kind of like stopped me on my tracks, because it's interesting. Fall 2019, I actually did apply to university for a music program, but I wasn't able to audition because of some obstacles that kind of got in the way of that. And it was one of the most frustrating and like low points of my life. And that following semester, I kind of just like, I think I just did like a few music classes and a yoga class, because I was just like really upset, and it was just a tough time. But then fall 2020, I decided to finish the last classes I needed for my fitness certification, because by that time, I think it was like the like 5th year already of being in community college. I'm like, okay, I've been here for about 5 years. I haven't really accomplished anything. And at this point, I really don't know if I'm even gonna like go to school, because I just felt really frustrated. And so I ended up taking the last classes I needed, and I finished my fitness certification. And during the midpoint of the semester, I was really just tired, and I kind of just wanted to quit. But I was like, no, like I need to do this. And it wasn't all because I had been there for 5 years. Like, yeah, that's kind of part of it, but it was also just to prove to myself that I can do something, that I can get a certification, that I can finish something and fulfill it if I really set my mind to it. And that was really just something I wanted to like prove to myself, which I did. And I'm really proud of myself, although I don't see myself like pursuing a career in fitness. It's something that I'm grateful that I did, because it shows me what I'm capable of. And that's the thing about community college, is that you learn so much about yourself and what you're capable of, because like as a performer as well in music, like you have to perform. That's kind of part of what you're getting graded on. I've always been someone who's kind of been like shy. Like I've done acting before, and you know, I've grown confidence in that. But then when it came to like performing my instrument, I was just extremely self-conscious, and it started out pretty like messy, you know, but the more I did it and the more I put myself out there, the more confidence I slowly started to develop. And, you know, just doing that, it really proved to myself, like, I can do this. Like, if I really want this, I can do this, you know, but I just have to push through like the fear, through the terror barrier and all that stuff, and I can get it done. So, you know, community college, it's not always the time. You actually save a lot more money too when you take like the classes there, because books are like cheaper, and you know, it's just a lot cheaper. You save a lot more than going to university. Like I know at times there's this pressure that you have to go to university like right after you graduate from high school, but it's not like that at all, because I know people who went to university, and then while in community college I bumped into some of them, and I'm like, oh hey, like what's up, I haven't seen you in like a few years, you know. They're like, oh yeah, like, you know, I was in university and, you know, I knew what I wanted to do, but then I realized like it's not what I wanted to do, so I'm back here kind of trying to figure it out. And I'm like, you know, kudos to you, like at least you're doing your best to figure it out. And you know, that's kind of what the journey is about, and that's why I really appreciate that. My channel really, I hope does represent that, because a lot of times people think it's about the destination, just getting to where it is you want to be, but it's like, no, it's really about the journey, because who you become is really the outcome of the journey, you know. So like if you don't even enjoy the journey, then what's the point? Like you're supposed to have fun and enjoy the journey. And that's why I made this video, because I want to encourage you, if you're someone who isn't sure about what they want to do, you know, explore different options. Maybe that's going to community college, maybe it's not, you know. Like I went this semester, I ended up dropping my classes, and it's kind of funny because I went with the mindset that I'm just done with school, and funnily enough, I had not planned to reapply to university until this fall 2021, so I can apply for fall 2022. But weirdly enough, during the fall semester in 2020, I felt a pull to actually reapply to university, you know, and um, I just went with it. And I ended up getting accepted to one of like the most hardest competitive schools to actually get accepted into, because it's very competitive, and I personally don't like competition, you know, but I applied there. I didn't really think I would get in, and I did. And it's pretty funny because literally like the night before I received the letter, I ended up dropping my classes. And you know, I think it was meant to be, because if it wasn't for that action that I took, I probably wouldn't have jumped back into French. I wouldn't have started Japanese, and I'd probably still be stressed doing these boring classes that I really don't feel I can do right now. You know, like I know at some point, because I'm in America, I'm gonna have to like do those classes, which, you know, it's kind of a bummer. But you know, I'm really glad that I actually dropped those classes, because it really did open these doors of like languages, some new interests that I always had. I just want you guys to know that it really is about the journey, not the destination. You don't have to get it all done like that. Like, I've always heard this quote that slow and steady wins the race, and I truly do believe that. Like, I even know someone who has a sister who was in school for about 10 years, you know, and people are gonna be like, what, 10 years? You know, just trying to figure out what she wanted to do. And now she's a very successful businesswoman. She's earning so much money doing something she loves, you know? So sometimes, or almost always, like taking your time, it kind of does pay off, because ultimately you realize like what it is you want to do, and you learn so much about yourself along the process. And you know, even if you do decide something that you want to do, something that does interest you, it doesn't mean that you're bound to it forever, because I know that a lot of times that's what's kind of kept me where I'm at, because I was kind of afraid to just take action, because I felt like if I did this thing, it's the one thing I'm gonna do forever for the rest of my life. And that's kind of a scary thing to think about, right? But you just gotta realize that you can do it. but it doesn't mean that you're bound to that one thing forever. Like, you are free to change your mind, okay? Because this really is a journey. And, you know, again, I know people like professors that I've encountered that like majored in one thing and then they're like, hey, you know, I don't actually want to do this. I'm a major in this thing now, you know? And that's okay. Like, yeah, it is more time and money. I'm not gonna lie. So, like, I guess when you are kind of restricted financially, that does add more pressure, which I completely understand, which is why I've been in school for so long, because I so know that university is so expensive and you kind of just want to make the right choice from the get-go. But, you know, like, that's why you just have to trust the timing of your life, trust the unfoldment of your life. And so I really hope this video helped you if you're someone who's kind of like unsure of what to do, because really, like, if it wasn't for my community college journey, I wouldn't be who I am today. And quite frankly, I'm pretty proud of who I am right now because I've worked so hard to become this person. And, you know, like, there's so many downs, so many ups, a lot of downs. But it, you know, through it all, I've learned more about who I am and what I'm capable of. And really, isn't this what the journey is about? Just learning more about who we are. And really, a lot of people think happiness is the destination, but really, happiness is the path. Okay, so do your best to relax and enjoy the journey. Like, I know it's something I have to tell myself too, like, relax, you know, like, take it easy. Like, wherever you're meant to be, you'll be there. But just enjoy, like, where you're at right now. You know what I mean? So I really hope you guys found this video helpful and, you know, learned something and are able to apply anything insightful into your life. I really do wish you the very best on your journey. And I hope that you find what it is that you love, because really, happiness is the path. So thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys in the next one.